Hello. So what this is a quick recording analysis of an operation. This one is called, I believe, Fresh Dawn. I don't really know who hosted it, and I don't really want to know, as I want to maintain their confidentiality. As unfortunately, this mission, in my opinion, was made below operational standard. Now, this was done for the Ghost Platoon, a Western-leaning military, milsim unit here on the Arma 3 platform. And this mission was pulled without their knowing to have a look at it and, under the hood and find out, what makes it tick, what makes it run, what makes it not run. Now, what we've done here is we loaded into the mission here. Now, you will notice there seems to be no light. I'm not sure if this is just a consequence of, rip the mission the way I did, or if the about lights. But regardless, we're going to spawn a light for us. And now the base has light. Now, from the very beginning, we do have some issues that we need to address. The base here seems to be low performance. There are performance issues in this base. Now, this is not bad. 44, honestly, that's not bad. But for this location on Altus, the Molis airfield, it's unfortunately is pretty bad and pretty noticeable. Now, what you're also going to notice here, I can go into the bunks here and actually load a kit without some lights. So we're going to load my kit. We're going to put a little flashlight on it. Wow, that's a really horrible flashlight. Okay. All right. Kind of, yeah, this, man, I don't think you guys will ever see this video, but if you do, some of the stuff you guys do is very bizarre to me. It doesn't really make sense. Okay. Use the Zeus camera light. So right off the bat, we start seeing a lot of weird objects that have been placed for decoration. This is fine, but this all has a performance impact. The more of these objects you place that don't actually have a purpose outside of, this looks pretty, the worse it's going to be. Now, we're going to take a look at these more later, but having these separated rooms, while I do appreciate the gesture, does have a performance impact. On top of that, we have what we call the 4K uniform syndrome. This is where you have a bunch of unit people, right? They're all in the same server with pretty high quality. These are pretty high quality uniforms here. My settings are currently reduced because of how ridiculously laggy the operation was in the server. But when you have a bunch of people, 40 plus, as was in the op, you'll see a recording of it later, which is barely watchable, mind you, but I will upload it for posterity's sake. You will quickly notice 40 plus people wearing high quality uniforms results in a lot of lag, a lot of performance drain. In general, the more players you have in these servers, the more FPS drain. Why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because you need to consider this when designing an operation, right? So let's take this for example. If you know the 40 plus people are coming to the operation, should you have these boxes with random objects and random, like 6 gazillion copies of the same arsenal, or maybe the same arsenal with like slight differences? The answer is no. I understand this looks nice. This does not perform nice, right? The server performs very poorly because of this. It's very noticeable because this airfield should not run this poorly. This is really bad. Okay? I am by no means on a gaming computer, but I can run this airfield at 60 plus FPS on normal circumstances. So whatever is going on here is an abnormal situation, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about other outside factors. So, that is the first thing that causes a lot of FPS drain. Uniforms that are too high quality, a lot of people wearing them. Too many players on the server that have all these uniforms, too much of a drain. not correct with simulating objects. I have a funny, we will take a look at all this in Eden, by the way. This is a first glance in the actual mission. I bet these are not correctly unsimulated. In fact, I bet the walls are not correctly unsimulated. Again, we will take a look, we will decide. So, first things first, that's a problem. Now, let's talk about whatever this is. So, the more vehicles spawned in, obviously the more FPS drain. Having a gazillion helicopters, as you can see, I'm struggling to even move around. Having a gazillion helicopters spawn that I know for a fact you don't have this many pilots at once to use all these. Big no-no. If you're ever making a scenario, right? If you're watching this for educational purposes, you want to maybe get something out of it, here is some good advice. When you are making an operation like this, you want to avoid spawning in vehicles that will not be used and leaving them empty. You might have watched some of my previous recordings, or if you maybe you are interested in watching some of my recordings of operations I made, you will very quickly notice I don't spawn in vehicles at all. There's a reason for that. Don't forget how stuff works, how these servers work. Everything spawned, any AI unit spawned in Eden, is entirely offloaded to the server. All of it. Every single unit, every single replacement, and yes, to some extent vehicles, not completely, because vehicles are a little bit different, is offloaded on the server box. Every unit spawned in Zeus is offloaded on the Zeus. And which in that case means it's not just the server, it's more of the player. It's put on the player's computer to process. You understand? So having these vehicles, big no-no. You are tanking FPS for no reason. Okay? Spawn your vehicles for your players when they're in op. Alright? That is my advice for you. Whoever's watching this, if you are making an operation, do not do this. This is a big no-no. Instead of doing this, take all this shit. And here, this is a resupply point. Remove all of that. When they ask for vehicles, you spawn in vehicles. When you load into the server, you brief them, then you spawn the vehicles. I know that can be hard. I know that can be a little frustrating for some of these bigger units, but you need to understand nobody wants to play at 10 FPS operation. Nobody wants to play sub 20 FPS. Nobody. Okay? I don't care how strong your computer is. You don't want to do that. You don't want to sacrifice performance. You need to keep in mind your lowest common denominator, which ironically isn't even me. My computer is not even that bad. But there are some people with worse rigs than mine that simply cannot run operations like this. They can't run these operations because their computers are bad. They can't run these operations because you're not making them correctly. So instead of bothering with that, just don't have the vehicles. And would you look at that? There's a significant performance increase on this base. I can tell. It's visibly noticeable. FPS is much better now because I didn't spawn a gazillion helicopters in this base. You should be spawning your assets in-game when it's needed in the Zeus. Do not spawn vehicles like that in Eden, unless it's enemy vehicles. Now, what else? This. Look, I understand that the chairs are most likely dynamically simulated, but I gotta ask, what is the point? You have all these objects here, dynamically simulated. Great. This is the spawn, okay? Everyone is gonna be here. All the players, all the 40 plus players attending your operation will be here. They will come over here, and their computer will be forced to load these chairs. Their server box will be forced to load these chairs, these tables, and this cabinet, right? Again, I understand trying to have like an immersive thing. You need to understand that performance matters more. Always. Your attempts at immersion completely fall apart in the event that I have to try to immerse myself at, 10 FPS. That is not going to work, unfortunately, and probably not surprisingly. So, that's obviously right. There's already a lot of problems at base that need to be corrected. Pointless objects, pointless separation that seems to be done to look good, to feel good, But when it comes time to run the op, suddenly everyone is playing at sub 30 FPS. And suddenly the amount of population in your server that's actually enjoying what's happening is significantly diminished. So that's not good, right? But we're not done here. No. We're also going to be looking at the AI. Now, to look at the mission here, we will have to go in Eden, because if I just go over here and look, this tells me nothing. However, this is weird. What's going on here? There's some weird AI here that are moving around. What are they doing? Now notice how the AI are moving around even though I'm over here across the map. These are probably not correctly dynamically simulated. Again, oh, interesting. Was this mission tested? A reminder, if you are making operations that 40 plus people are going to be attending, or anyone is attending, you should really test your operation. Just a thought. So, so it looks like they try to climb the tower and then they kill themselves. Like that, over and over and over. Probably should have been found in basic UC. What about the other compound? What are we looking at here? That's not right. I don't think that turret's supposed to be destroyed. We have some AI here, again, moving around. They're not dynamically simulated. And we have some patrols. Again, the fact that I'm able to see these moving is deeply concerning. What about the vehicles?
Wilco.
That is not good enough for us. So we got some problems. We're going to talk about them more in Eden. All right, this is like Zeus interface. Let's go to Eden. By the way, hey, quick, can I have a little side tangent real quick? If you use this map mod, there is something wrong with you mentally, okay? I don't care how nice it looks. Do you see how laggy this is? What about this is like pleasant to look at? Who enjoys being in game and every time they open their map, if they like see all the details, you can see it's lagging a lot more than like a normal map. If you use this map mod, please stop using it. Look at this, is insufferable. So anyone who's Zeusian gets to like have a laggy map that barely like works. This is insufferable. This is not pleasant to use. Now let's talk about the mission from an Eden editor perspective. Let's talk. So first, we'll start at the base, then work our way to the AI. We're going to be looking over things. We're going to be giving suggestions how you can fix this operation. Well, I guess you can see who made it. Whoops. Well, hey, if you ever see this video, I hope you can take something from it. I genuinely say that. Obviously, I do make this video with some regret, as I wasted my time on this operation. Though it wasn't that much. It was 20 minutes before the server crashed. But still. And the server issues are not your fault, mind you. Though I will bluntly state that you should not have hosted an operation on a server that broken and that unstable. Now, let's talk. So, first things first. Remember, vehicles, not good. Can't be doing this. If you want to resupply asset, instead of spawning 3 stuff, go in here. Go to the NATO APCs, and spawn the Nemera. The Nemera is a and refuel asset. So, these are some weird default configs here. There we go. Alright, so spawn to send. Remember, this part's important. Double click on the vehicle. Enable dynamic simulation. Because hey, you know what? People's computers and the server should not constantly be loading this. Alright? So dynamically simulate that. Next, look at the spawn real quick. Spawn's okay. This format is really painful to look at, but hey, that's not my business. You make your spawn however you please. Headless clients, during the op, these did nothing for us. Just don't forget, you don't need these headless clients if you don't actually plan to use them. Judging by these servers, 19 to 20 FPS average, these were not doing anything. So you don't need these if you don't plan to actually use them or set them up correctly. Do not ask me, please, how to set those up. I don't know. There's some talk that headless clients don't actually help all that much, especially if you follow standard procedure for making operations and you make operations optimized. The need for these becomes highly questionable, right? The point of these is to keep the AI functioning despite low server performance. Why do you need these if the machine just functions correctly? You don't need these anymore, right? So just a thought. Now, let's talk about this. First things first. Okay, we got these helipad lights here. We got green. Okay. First things first we can do here. We can go ahead and just disable their simulation. Or if you want their lights on, at least make it dynamically simulated. The crates here, again, same thing here. I would go into all of these. And I would at least make them dynamically simulated. Now, because of the severity of the mod pack bloating, which you guys have in this unit, every time I try to open any menu, it takes like an extra minute. Look, I do not control what you do. It's your choice. But I will say this, having 20 gigabytes of packed content that you did not give credit to anybody, not my business, right? But I will say this, should probably not do that for your server's sake. Now, let's talk about this. So, these walls are not correctly. You could completely turn off their simulation and completely make them simulated objects like this. See that? See the red? Now that runs better. But I have a other suggestion. You could go in here, you can make all these objects correctly fixed. Seems like some of these objects you bothered to correctly disable simulation and then you just gave up halfway. I don't really condone that. I would appreciate more effort being put into stuff like this. But hey, not my business. But, well, I suppose it is because I'm the one evaluating this operation, right? So take it or leave it, right? So, want to know what my real advice is for this base? My real advice is you take the arsenal, you put it, and then you just clean this up. This is not, you don't need this. This looks pretty. It runs like shit. You know what you could do instead? You could like move all this in there, have that like be a nice little area, but not clog it up with pointless drivel, right? This. What is the point of having this many chairs? I know you want to make all your units be able to sit down in front of the briefing. Do you really want every person to have to load all of these chairs? What about the rest of this stuff? Why not prioritize the tables and the chairs here over these? These are pointless. You could just make people stand or crouch down. I know it's more ghetto that way, but keep in mind we're talking about performance optimization. So in the context of, also, one more time, we're going to quickly, there we go. Okay, because we're going to actually compare how these function. That's right, we're going to actually compare how they work. So, no chairs, we don't need that. Whatever, these random mortar cases, I don't know why they're here. These random boxes, again, I understand why they're here. I'm kind of being a little snide. They lower FPS, all right? So reduce the amount of objects to something like this. Maybe lower the amount of chairs. Lower the amount of screens. Lower the camera net. Take this. Move it inside. And have the briefing conducted here. And we'll also make sure, there you go. Now it's all snapped. Now, there's no light here. We'll add one. Aha, that might be a problem. Okay. What we can do here, we can actually use single lights. These will all be dynamically simulated with disabled damage. So we have lights here, here, and on the opposite corners right here. And I'd say we add like 2 more facing inside, because we're making the anger the briefing area, basically. And have the arsenal be somewhere here, so you can, right? You can get briefed, and also do the mission. For the 4 here, we can actually do a mat. If I can find it here. Okay, I can't find it right now. I'm not gonna waste your time looking for it. Point is, oh, whoa, okay, hold on. Looks like this. There we go. Much better. Let's take a look at what that does to the base area real quick. What is the difference between that base and this base? Let's find out. Then we're going to move on to working with the AI. So you remember the last base? Before the vehicles were removed, it was pretty laggy, pretty not good. Had a lot of problems with performance, which I'll say right now, if your performance is low before the op even starts, it is really bad. That is a sign that something needs to change like ASAP, or else you're going to lose players who will join and then get basically trolled. So, here is. We got light in here. We got the arsenal right. And the briefing is done here. You just have everyone line up, basically. Maybe you make them line up per squad, per fire team, and just stay. Now, get their arsenal, and then they're good to go, right? Now, it requires making that arsenal probably more wide. Backs, I believe. Oh no, this has pilot equipment in it. Yeah, so that would work. You could totally do it that way. And as we can see here, the performance is drastically better, okay? I mean, you could see, probably in this recording, I'm at 40 players, and it's laggy again. Better. And you have to simulate them. You could still interact, you could still load them and stuff. You just don't have to constantly. Right, my ace, so it's causing my third person not to work. But yeah, you get the point. So that's what we did with the base. We made the base a lot better. It's no longer laggy, but we can do more. We can do more. Let's go back to Eden real quick. Now, let's talk about also one more thing. We don't need these. We don't need headless clients. So we're going to go over here. I see. Okay. This is a severe lapse in judgment. 2 things that are wrong here. 1, you are connecting entire squads to a garrison module that is known to not really work, right? Yes, I know it slams, but remember when we saw those guys walking up the stairs and then jumping off to their death and repeat? That's why. You should never use these modules. They are lazy and they don't work. So forget about these. We're not using them. You have some units here on patrol. Having a team here patrolling is fine. Remember, every unit spawned in Eden Editor will take into account stress on the server. So my advice, any patrols like this, don't bother. Spawn them in Zeus. You load on the server, first thing you do, you find your units, you spawn them in, you make a patrol. Spawn all your patrols in Zeus. Okay? Don't bother doing it in Eden. You are increasing the server load for pretty much no reason when you could just spawn in patrols manually. Again, this is something you will see a lot during my operations. You will not catch me spawning units in a different manner. Now, let's talk about this. Now, you'll see these are already dynamically simulated because I may have misled you, dear viewer. Yes, I looked at the mission first to make sure it correctly transferred when I, acquired the file, right? When I acquired the file, which, by the way, anyone can do that. Anyone can do this. Any one of you can go, take some units mission, and look under the hood like this. Anybody can do it. I will not share the method of how to do it because, to be honest with you, it's a lot of power when you can do that, isn't it? You can really decide, hey, is this unit worth my time? When you can literally open the mission up and see, is this made poorly? I'll say right now for this mission, yes, it is made poorly. Now, let's continue. So, first thing we do, again, no patrols. You can keep this one. Drone is fine. A few vehicle patrols is fine. For units like this, again, we go in here. Mind the lag. Again, the 20 gigabyte ripped asset content pack is really not good for performance. We go in here and we make sure it's dynamically simulated. Same thing with all the vehicles. Again, I'm sorry, you'll have to tolerate the moments of freezing up. It's not my fault. The Ghost Platoon has a pretty bloated mod pack, unfortunately. Again, every single vehicle you can see, you want to dynamically simulate it. Why do we dynamically simulate objects? We dynamically simulate objects so that when you are at the airfield, you are not loading these units. When you're across the map in Oreo Castro, your computer and a server, right, are not caching these units because that drops FPS significantly. So this entire time, when everyone spawned here, they were constantly loading these units. Constantly. Every single patrol, every single unit was being cached by every single person's computer and the server, despite us not being close to the mission. This is obviously very bad. So what do? Well, we dynamically simulate. So first things first, dynamically simulate all the units. All the units, especially vehicles. Vehicles are extremely important. As you saw with the base helicopter demonstration, they're a lot more laggy, right? So to avoid lag, we dynamically simulate all of this. Now, what we do then, check this out. In these guys, we want to do this correctly and with actual effort put into it. We go in here. Wow, 3CB seems to be really annoying. Anyway, we go in here. Okay. So we are missing a pretty important mod here that is supposed to be used. It's called Eden Enhanced. You hear me? It's going to be linked in the video comments and description. This is an educational video, right? I want to teach you how to make better missions by using this bad one as an example. Eden Editor, 3Den Enhanced is the mod. 3Den Enhanced. You will see the link in the description. This allows you to quickly set AI behavior. We don't have this. So I'm going to have to do this the more roundabout way. So if you give me a moment here, we're going to actually open up my in-game notes function. And we're going to pull up the script manually. So give me a moment. Okay, so I'm used to having this just on hand. Moment, we're going to pull this up. I'm going to tab out. We're going to pull this up for you. I want to show you an alternative way of doing it. Maybe you're in a unit that is, I'm going to say it, retarded, and is really behind on Arma mission design development, right? They refuse to have the mod. Fine, you don't need it. Check this out. What we need is a script to disable the AI pathing. Okay, I got, again, this script, I'm going to put in a description for you. So, we're going to select, oh, hold on. Arma is a fickle thing. Okay, we're going to select all these, going to go in the attributes, in the init. We're going to type this. This disable AI path. What that does, they can't move. These AI can no longer move. Now, again, we're not using correct module here. So we're gonna have to probably manually make sure that it's all like this. Okay, try this again. Boom, got it. So before I accidentally selected that, you don't, yeah, fuck that. Go manually into units by selecting all of them like this. Right click, attributes, set the script. I'm gonna leave it on screen for a second. It will be in the description, I promise, but I will leave it up here for you just to look at it. Okay, hit okay, and there you go. These can't move. These cannot move now. Now, what we can do, we can to be in garrison. Wondering, why did you sync all these together? We synced all these together because when you have a bunch of units together, they will independently give orders and complete orders. Means for you is performance. Your performance will suffer. It really means your performance will go down. Your performance will for basically no reason. Now they right are more efficient when they're separated. This is true, but I firmly state that hey, performance kind of sometimes matters a lot more. This is cases. We're gonna make it up. Okay. Same here. See these guys? Oh, look at that. We have more people. That's okay. This is not enough to garrison this base correctly, but we're just fixing this mission. We're not making a mission. Example of. So there you go. Now, last thing I wanted to mention, don't forget the turret. Yes, leave this unsynced. Make sure dynamically simulated, but leave it unsynced. That's fine. You want the turret to not have to wait for this asshole here to say something. This guy needs to just open fire. One last thing. Go in here. Make sure they're standing. Sorry, for a moment there, I will not lie to you. My sheer disappointment that these were not already set like that kind of kicked in. Yeah, make sure these are actually standing like that, okay? They'll actually stand as long as they can and keep shooting. Okay, great. Again, we need more units to garrison more of this crap. But we're just... Oh, okay. Got one more here. We're just fixing the mission, not like making a new one. Okay, now all of these are dynamically simulated. Yeah, no patrols. Patrols are bad. Never do patrols at Eden if you can help it. Look, if it's a small mission, like this is considered a small mission technically, yeah, you could do it. But aim to have patrols spawned in Zeus, in the lobby, in the mission. That is my advice. It is always better. Trust me. Always better. Doesn't matter what circumstance, doesn't matter how small the mission is, it is always better. So, with that in mind, let's go look at the next part. Okay, yep, same exact issues. No patrols spawned in Eden. If you spawn patrols, dynamically simulate them, just like we've done. Again, this is not how you make missions. This is a very lazy way of doing it, where you just... This probably took like... This would take me 20 minutes, max. Absolute max, and I would like hate myself every moment of it. This is not an acceptable mission to give to like 40 people that are waiting all week to do your mission. Okay? So, again, you can have these drones, that's fine. Make sure dynamically simulated. We have to sit here for a minute for it to load because the mod pack is using mods that are obviously not good and take forever. So, do that. Okay, now, got lots of units here. Let's go ahead and again, bring all these together. This may be excessive, honestly, but whatever. Bring, no, we don't want that. The one thing that was done correctly here is these sandbags are actually correctly set up. My question then is, why is nothing else correctly set up? I'm not really sure what happened with this mission. It almost feels like someone started making it and then just gave up. This was very lazily placed. That, there you go. Okay, now take all these, bind them again. Again, remember, don't select the squad, select the units. Oh, no. First, dynamically simulate. Select again, make them all stand. Now, select them carefully. Right click, attributes, init, paste our script in, and make sure these are all like that. They are, perfect. Okay, again, vehicles. Want to dynamically simulate all the vehicles here. Again, I'm sorry, this will take a little bit with this bloated mod pack that's obviously not working correctly. In case it's not obvious, no, you're not supposed to sit here for 5 seconds every time you open a vehicle in it. That is really abnormal. That is the kind of thing where if you notice it, you should immediately drop what you're doing and fix your mod pack. Something is obviously not working correctly. That's not normal. Like, anyway, okay, fix that. We have a random guy here, which I'm annoyed at because now I have to group him. So we'll do all that. Group him up. He's like a scout. He will basically tell the others, because they're all grouped. They communicate with each other. He will tell them where there are more enemies. Now, let's begin working with these. So, again, we're going to be doing this as possible. This is not you should set the way you take the time to make a custom composition. I'll repeat that one more time so you hear it. Where you save a bunch of units of their pathing disabled that are dynamically simulated, you spawn the group in, and then you move the units around as you see fit. That's a better way. Efficient. Spawning whole squads like around is a nightmare when you can instead just copy paste units around the building. Much faster way of doing it. But for this example, again, we're not from scratch, because who fucking has time for that? So put them around cover. Again, if you really want, yes, you could take the time to make these guys like crouch down, prone, whatever you want to do. You're the mission designer, not me. We're just fixing this. So would I make somebody's crouch? For the sake of this though, it's okay. And again, this is also why we're not really looking at what units are. We don't care right now. We're just make this a mission that actually to put all these units in place and make sure that, and yeah, see that sandbag actually covers the person. We don't want that. We want them to actually be able to shoot at people. Put that cheeky guy in that corner. Or guy downstairs. Okay. Now we're gonna put here. We're gonna take all these, and we're gonna sort of let's fill out the bottom a little bit. Like make this like a difficult sort of area. Reach. And I will actually like cheekily place some of these to be basically if they don't flash this building. Or maybe even use frag grenades. They pretty nasty. Now, rest of these guys. This is probably too much. He used a garrison module to like garrison a bunch of stuff. So what we're gonna be doing here, we will make wages garrison, but not too much. We'll garrison them around the place. Put them around. You don't have to always have literally every unit same. Just understand we're doing this to boost performance. That's why we're doing this. So, yeah. You gotta trust me sometimes. This is being done on purpose. This is being done so that it runs better. Because right now, it runs like it should have never got past basic UC for the mission. When I say, I mean, in case you're not sure. Again, I'm sure this is very boring, but hey, look, mission design always, in fact, often quite boring, but especially like this, where I have to manually. Okay, we are going to downsize down. I see no reason to have such a ridiculous amount of units. We will downsize quite a bit. Okay, this is the commander of the base. He's going to go like somewhere in... We're going to hide him. We're going to actually hide this guy. I'm going to be heading here. So that he can issue orders. Because every time that AI has to swap commanders, obviously, you know, they have to kind of like recalibrate. So there we go. We have more of a spread, and we will spawn the patrols outside the mission. Okay. So let's take a look one more time. Dynamically simulated units. Vehicles are all dynamically simulated. Turrets, maybe not. Let's take a look at the turrets. Turrets need to be all dynamically simulated. Let's see here. Wasn't there one more? Pretty sure there's one more turret here somewhere. Here. All turrets dynamically simulated. Again, if you are concerned, because I know dynamic simulation disables units from a certain distance, don't forget, go to attributes, performance, and change it yourself. You could always change it. You could always just make it more. If you're like really nervous, make it more. It's fine. Just modify this. We're just fixing it so you're not loading units across the map. That's not what we want. We're looking on the map to see if we miss any units. See, here's a turret here. Boom, got it. Drone's okay. Drones don't take up so much performance, and he's dynamically simulated. Okay, so we've effectively, you know, fixed up the mission at this point. We fixed up the mission. We should be good to check it. So save, and let's check the mission. We're expecting a performance increase of about 20 to 30%, maybe even 40. We'll see. See how we can get. Note the script error on the top left. I will verify if the script actually works. If it doesn't work, don't worry. I have one that does. I couldn't pull it up at this moment. We literally use Google. Unironically, you could just Google certain questions. Hey, how to make AI not move? You will. So, okay. Mwah, look at that, beautiful. Look at that beautiful performance. Excellent performance. We've basically fixed the mission for them. We've removed all unnecessary objects. It seems like, I don't know what that script is. We're loading some weird scripts into these missions. Anyway, performance, however, beautiful, much better. Things are working much nicer. Now, Larkins, what about when you're... Thank you for asking. So, for my kit. And yes, after this recording is done, I'm uninstalling every single one of these mods, including your 20 gigabyte content pack. Some of which I'm sure you made your 20 gigs. Let's be real here. Anyway, sorry for a little tangent. So, dynamically simulated units. Yep, see, you can tell they're dynamically simulated. They're not moving, they're just stuck in this position. You get close. Let me give you an example. When you get close, units activate. Now they're activated. See that? Look at that beautiful performance. Now keep in mind, this is going to go down a lot when you have 40 plus people. But again, if you ever genuinely care about performance, you can downsize your unit. There's a reason when I talk about units, we actually tell people, hey, you want to hit a max of 40 and you probably want to close your unit. You have 40 active people, great, you don't need more. You should close your unit off. Anyway, okay, now we're going to test these AI. We need to make sure they work. So, is the pathing script work? Well, pretty simple to test that.
On the way.
See that? He can't move. What if something explodes? What if that building over there blows up? Okay. And yep, see that? The script works. The AI are not moving. Don't forget, when you're running missions like this, as players leave area, make sure to use this module to clean all that stuff. I don't know why it pushed me into this when I did that. Again, they're using some weird custom scripts. I'm not looking into that. That's not my business. Stop. So this area is basically much better. Now they finish with this. Pew, 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 pew. They kill everybody here. This is a lot of AI that they intended to play players, but still, this is a lot. I advise, if you run a large unit, if you have to start putting this much AI, time to start increasing the difficulty. Okay, your missions are too easy. How do we increase difficulty without increasing AI count? Two things we can do. One, simply increase the skill. Oh, we have to put, okay, crank it way up. Make the AI actually scary and lethal. That's always an option. Option two, static weapons. More static weapons. More static weapons and more cheeky positions. More specialized role. See this guy? Maybe give him a full sniper. This guy is just using some crappy, I don't even know what that is. Is that an M1 Garand? This guy is using like a pretty crappy, give him something scary. Give him like a stolen AS-50. Give him something scary. Something that can like probably one tap a person. You don't need to have him at high skill, but give him something scary so that it's a force multiplier. So you don't have to spam AI, just increase their skill, make them all positioned nicely and in cover so they can't be hit easily. Make static weapons, vehicles that are a very good one, especially if you can put them around cover and stuff like that. Enemy fire support. There are ways to increase difficulty where you don't have to do this. This is excessive. You know, professional mission designer, I look at this and I'm like, this is probably too much. This is too much AI. Okay. So I would definitely decrease that. You know, add QRF, yada, yada, yada. Oh, there's a random helicopter I forgot to delete. Jeez, I don't know what sound mod this is, but it's honestly annoying. You guys are gonna give some of your members hearing damage potentially. Just want to be blunt here. Barking is way too much. Anyway, okay. So, in conclusion, we have fixed up this operation. The only thing that needs to be fixed at this point is the horrible mods and the horrible mod bloat. But other than that, this is perfect. The mission is viable to go. You will have lag for sure. And the desync that happened in the recording of the operation would probably still cause it to crash. But at least before it crashes, the operation will be done at a more reasonable frame rate. Judging by the amount of players, I reckon from this base, right? From this base FPS, counting the players, counting the helicopter, you'd probably be running around 30 to 35 FPS. During my recording, I was at like 19 to 15. So honestly, probably even better. Let me be like really honest here. Probably better, probably like 40. Remember, I don't have a super cool computer. I have a gaming computer. It's not like amazing. But I, as someone who's more like on a mid-range, will probably see 30 to 40 FPS when leaving this base. With all those players, it will take that frame rate by like 30, right? That's reasonable. That's to be expected. That's how much it will probably be. Over there, it's going to get a little worse probably because of all the cities and stuff. But that's okay. You know what? That's okay. That's expected. But yeah. So, there you go. I have fixed your operation for you. My final word of advice is pretty simple. Modules exist to simplify mission making, right? Modules are there to help you out. Eden Editor modules. Eden Editor modules are very far from perfect, okay? Using modules like this everywhere does not constitute making a mission. Okay? I'm sure some might consider that, but the future is now. The future is now. We are past making missions in such a sloppy manner that takes like 20 minutes. Now, actually carefully placing units, yeah, you're probably going to be here for an hour. You know, I would do a lot more. By the way, me personally, I do so much more of this. I'd have more areas. I'd have more like more custom buildings in this. I would do a lot more with this. Underground sections, I would do so much more. But with just this, we've at least fixed this mission. So this will never reach the person from this unit, Ghost Platoon. If it does, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it was a good operation. It wasn't. That probably took 20 minutes to make maximum. If it took any longer, I'm deeply concerned. Okay? In that case, I'm not mad at you, but you need more time making missions. You need more time in mission design. You don't have enough time. You don't have enough experience. All right, you're missing a lot. Whoever taught you how to Zeus, they just like, I guess they skipped like 20 steps, right? Disabling simulation, this is like step one, okay? This is like mission design 101. You disable simulation. When you're a base, you minimize clutter as much as physically possible. This is like basics. All right. Oh, and see that's a little mistake there. That's. By the way, really enjoy having to sit here an extra 10 seconds every single time I open an object because some of your mods are horribly conflicted. All right. Okay. So TLDR, right? What am I really like getting at? That could have been done a lot better, even with the server issues. Sure, we would have still all crashed, but I at least when I would have went to look at the mission under the hood, because yes, I know how to do that, and yes, I will go in and I will look at your mission, and if it's bad, we will go in here and we will look at it. I would at least be somewhat impressed. So let's compare. Let's compare. This is me. We went in here, manually placed everything, simulated everything correctly, fixed up the base to be less retarded, removed the unnecessary vehicles, minus that one, and simulated more of the objects, made this one unsimulated, yada yada yada. Let's look at the original one more time, just in case we forgot the original comparison, because I know it's easy to forget. Yeah, see, that took about 40 minutes. It took 40 minutes to fix all that up in total. Let's look at the OG. So here's the OG. Pointless clutter at the base. Pointless clutter. Ridiculous amount of vehicles spawned for no reason. The garrisons consist of putting a squad down and putting a module to it. Not impressive mission design. Random patrols. Again, couldn't be bothered to set them custom. Just use a random module to do it. God knows if the patrol they have actually makes sense. We sure hope it does, because if not, it's going to look really silly to the player base. Here we have a ridiculous amount of AI, all synced to one module. So they're all going to run around like headless chickens, lagging up the server for the first 30 to 40 minutes as the AI desperately tries to find places to garrison. More random patrols, vehicles that are not dynamically simulated, and finally, little touch-up headless clients that are probably not actually helping because you don't have anything correctly unsimulated. So, like a little refresher, let's look at how this runs one more time. You saw what the fix looks like. Let's see what the non-fix looks like. Just as a reminder. Okay. Already lagging on the map. That's a good sign. Okay, we're at base. Without putting lights on, because the shadows will cause lag. Ouch. That's not good. And you saw that dip, too. The moment I opened Ooh. This is missing the players, by the way. This is missing the other 40 players that were... And also the lights. It's kind of weird. Put a little... Again, for this, I'd put it on the top. There, okay. This is unacceptable. At base, this is not acceptable. I am by myself here. When they're again, you will see the recording. I will put the recording up too, because you need to see what I'm talking about. What it looks like when you run a mission like this for real on a server with other players. What it does to the server performance. You need to see. You need to understand, because some people don't get it, obviously. So this is not acceptable. What else is not acceptable? The AI is not correctly simulated. So we could see all the AI moving around, and the AI give orders to the rest. They'll have to mentally calculate, train on the server. The garrison module here just doesn't work. So you have AI doing this.
Ready.
Wow. Incredible. While the rest just give up and are just standing there. This is the dynamically simulated squad that I had. We're probably not going to be able to unsimulate them. So that's a fix I applied. Originally, they're still broken. Meanwhile, the rest, very poorly is building. This one's okay. This one, like, what is he doing? Good enough. These guys just gave up completely. We can delete these. That's not good. Let's take a look at the other one. Pointless patrols. Units that are randomly dying because the module is so shit that they just go in here and kill themselves. Units here that can't seem to find a good spot, so they spend the entire mission, again, calculating over and over. Go here, go back. Go here, go back. Go here, go back. This is the squad lead, I believe, so he's probably giving orders to the rest of them too. Same thing here. The turret here killed itself. Thankfully, this guy stayed. Kind of expecting him to go somewhere else. These guys... that's not right. But at least these ones are okay. But this building is a total disaster. Yeah, the difference is... And let's look at what that looks like. Remember, I actually... Let's see what happens when I'm over here now with all this, like, nonsense happening here. Face to base. Ouch. Not bad. Notice how this is the same as the base. This is why dynamic simulation is so important. Okay. That is the conclusion of this little session. Final comments. If certain members of the Ghost Platoon viewed us, I do not wish you ill intent. I hope you get something out of this video. I hope your operation quality improves, because this is not acceptable. All right. The person who made this, which I'm not going to say their name, should have known better. Whoever it was should probably go back to learning how to make missions. They don't know how to make missions. This is a critical failure to make a mission correctly. Your base situation is a joke. This is pointless and lags everything up. I don't care if it looks cool. Completely irrelevant if the op is 19 to 13 FPS. Okay. When I saw your application asking for hardware, I got deeply concerned, because even the worst hardware can run missions that are at least well optimized. So that kind of was a red flag for me. Hey, you don't optimize your missions, do you? And based off this, the answer is no. Running a mission on a server that I knew was broken was stupid. Not testing this mission at all and having this be the mission was borderline malicious and an insult to your player base. But yeah, thank you for coming, dear viewers. I hope you learned something out of this. I hope it was at least useful. Again, while I don't wish ill or harm to this unit, the Ghost Platoon, I'm just making it very clear that, hey, this mission was severely flawed from the very beginning. Your server could have worked perfectly. This mission would have been poor and not good. Making people wait a week for this is very insulting. I feel a little disrespected as a member of the unit. And that's why the moment the server crashed, I instantly left your server without even saying anything, because what am I supposed to say? This is unacceptable. This is not how you make a mission. This is not how you do things. So I hope this was educational to either members of this unit who for some reason are watching. I'm very surprised if you ever see this video. But I hope it's also educational to any normal viewer that's interested in mission design. I might actually reference this video for some people. Like, hey, here's an example of fixing a mission that originally was bad, to help people. Because most people make missions like this. They go, oh, okay. Well, no, like, hold on. You can fix this. You could make a mission that's kind of, you can make it good. You can fix it up before ops start. Take an hour, take the time, fix the mission up. So thank you very much for your time. Again, hope this is educational. I will link the pathing script in the description, as well as the Eden Enhanced mod. I will also link the other video of what it looks like when you run this trash on an actual server, how bad it looks from the perspective of someone with like a medium range computer, which is most people, by the way. Most people are not rich. They can't afford $5,000 computers, right? They can only afford a $2,000 computer, right? So you're going to see a perspective of what that looks like from that kind of perspective. So thank you very much. I hope this was helpful, because I think it is. I think it is helpful to some people.